This man was trying fried chicken for the first time, but when he finished, he had no idea what to do with the bones. Then, the driver casually rolled down the window. Seeing that, the man couldn't help but laugh, so he followed suit and tossed his bones out the window too. His name was Don Shirley, a world-famous pianist, and this was the start of his national concert tour. His driver, Tony, had plenty of bad habits, like talking while driving, constantly turning his head around. It freaked Shirley out. He had to keep reminding Tony to watch the road, and when they got out of the car, Tony even came back just to grab his wallet. Shirley felt totally disrespected. Their first stop was Pittsburgh. Shirley warned Tony he'd be dealing with rich folks every day, so he needed to act properly, but after the performance, Shirley found Tony outside, gambling. He was furious. They didn't have the right to choose whether to go in or not. But you did. But you do. Shirley and Tony couldn't be more different, not just in skin color, but in everything they stood for. Shirley worked his way into high society. Tony had the freedom to choose, but wasted it on simple pleasures. On the road to the next stop, they stopped at a gas station. Tony spotted a vendor selling gemstones. He liked them, but had no money. Then, he noticed one lying on the ground. Without thinking, he slipped it into his pocket. Shirley confronted Tony, told him to return it. Tony insisted it was just found, but in the end, Shirley's firm stance won. Tony gave it back. At the next concert, the venue provided a beat-up piano. It was full of trash. Tony asked for it to be replaced. The organizer refused and insulted him. Big mistake. Tony had skills and fists. He got Shirley a brand new piano, no questions asked. Somewhere along the road, Tony stopped being just a driver. He started to really listen to Shirley's music. Tony was lying in bed, getting ready to sleep. Then, bang bang bang, a knock at the door. Shirley had been attacked by a bunch of punks. One of them even pulled a knife. Tony reached for his back, pretended to have a gun. The punks backed off instantly. Shirley walked away, safe. The next day, Shirley saw Tony struggling to write a letter to his wife, so he offered to help. He wrote a beautiful love letter for him. When Tony's wife read it, she was moved to tears, and slowly, Tony and Shirley grew close. Soon, it was the final show of the tour, but the restaurant hosting it refused to serve Shirley because of who he was. Shirley walked out, Tony followed. They ended up in a tiny roadside diner. Their clothes didn't match the place, but no one cared. There was no judgment. Even though the piano was old and beaten up, Shirley sat down and played his heart out. Then he smiled, a real free smile. Then they hit the road again. Tony had promised to be home for Christmas. When they got to Tony's building, Tony invited Shirley to join the holiday dinner, but Shirley had grown used to being alone. He declined and left. Maybe they weren't quite friends, yet Tony returned to his lively, warm home. His wife embraced him tightly. Meanwhile, Shirley sat in silence, alone in his mansion, holding that same gemstone, deep in thought. Tony, too, looked distracted that night, as if he was waiting for something. Then, a knock at the door. It was just a neighbor, but as Tony went to close the door,